Yeah, hello, welcome back. Survival Saturday with Johnny Tiger on April 6, 2024. I know this is a really weird angle, because we're going to do a addendum episode on the Tactical Tuesday, which was the defense against headlock on the ground. So I have to rig up the camera to film from a more like a bird's eye angle. So hopefully you guys can see me. Last time I had to kind of improvise halfway through. So this time I had more of a chance to play around with tripod. So hopefully, this comes across okay. I know the angle is really weird. Okay, um, and I'm hoping that I don't knock the tripod over and go on top of my head. Anyway, so last episode we talked about uh, what if someone like like my training partner Wesley over here. You're fighting with somebody, okay? You're grappling or punching, and somebody suddenly they charge you, headlock you from the front, so you're face to face, and this person is so strong that they crank you down to the ground, right? And now your arm, your your inside arm, in this case my left arm, is trapped under him. I can't get any real use out of this, right? And my right hand is free. I mentioned this in a real fight. Most likely, this is when I'm going to, since I have one hand free, I would be pulling out the knife, pulling out the tactical pen, and start jabbing him in the stomach, in the side of the head, whatever, right? But assuming that we don't have the luxury of carrying a self-defense tool, I showed in the last episode how you want to get your free hand between your face, their face, grab the nose or eye socket, squirm your hip away from them so you're 90 degree, your body 90 degree to them, and from this angle, okay, once I squirm my body away from them, then I do a sit-up while dragging the head down toward my groin, and this will let me get up and pull them down to the floor so I can slam them. Okay? So this is basically a recap of what we went through last episode. But those of you that have done some Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or wrestling, you already know on top of your head how you're going to counter this. So I'm going to address that. Right? Because some people will say, okay, so you're down on the ground, face to face, the person's on top of you, and you get your arm in there, right? That's good. But what if the moment you start to move your body away, the person follow you, the person follow you, the person follow you, then you can't, because unless you get that 90 degree, unless you get that 90 degree, you cannot roll the person because their body is way stronger when they're parallel to your body, right? If my body is more or less parallel to his body, and I start pulling, see this is an unresisting training prop, and even this, I can't get up, right? There's just no way because its body is lined up with mine. It has a lot of leverage. It has a lot of uh, substance behind the head. So from here, like if I'm really strong and if I poke them in the eye, I might be able to raise them up like this. And from here, maybe I can do some other technique, like get my leg involved and try to kick them in the head from here, right? But that's very clunky. So just remember this: unless you get this 90-degree angle, this roll is not going to happen. You're not going to get that to work, right? So what do we do then? If the person is smart enough The moment I start squirming away, they follow, right? Then I can't do my move. Okay, then we want to go to plan B. Plan B. What is plan B? Okay, we reset so the angle is a bit better. Ah, this is so awkward. Like, you guys have no idea how awkward it is to do it like, when you're blind and doing this. But anyway, so again, I get my hand in here on their face. I start moving my body. They follow. Okay. Now remember, for me to move, I just have to use my feet. Right. I don't have to move my center of gravity or much of anything. I just basically, when I move away from them, I'm rotating my hip so the front of my lower body is pointing away from them, and I move away from them like this. Right? That's all. But for them to follow me, okay, let me reverse the situation with Wesley here. So I got him headlocked on the ground like this, and obviously he's not going to be able to like move on his own. So I have to uh, do it for him, right? So he starts moving away. I start following. I don't know if you guys can see that on the camera. What's going to naturally happen is when I'm following his body, when he moves and I move, my body, there's going to be a split second where my body will overlap his. Okay? That's what you're looking for. That moment when their body is overlapping yours. When the person is just down here choking you, their whole weight is forward towards the ground. They're very solid, very well posed. Try to move them from here, it's very hard. But if they are trying to move on the ground to follow you, they have to lift themselves up, right? It's very hard to stay down here and try to move with the person because you're going to lose the person. You're going to lose the person if you stay down, right? If I'm standing down here and the person starts squirming away, the next thing you know, I fall over, right? So, as an attacker, as an attacker, I have to raise up to give myself balance, to use my hand and leg to move, to follow them. And then, once I follow them, I re-establish the headlock. And that's how it's done. But there's always going to be that moment where their body will overlap yours when they're following you. And that's what we're looking for. Okay, we're going to reverse back. So Wesley's on top. He headlocked me, take me down to the ground. Right? I get my hand on his face. I start moving, he start following. And when his upper body start overlapping mine, this is when I'm going to do my move. Okay? You need to capitalize on that moment when the upper body come over like this, right? Not when they're on the side like that. Not when they are still too much to the side. You won't have the leverage. But the moment they come over, in another word, you are actually face to face. You're really face to face right now. At this point, when they're following you, then remember when I was moving away, my hip was facing away from them, right? The moment they come across my upper body, I'm going to shift my weight back so my hip now face toward them. And remember this hand here, the free hand that is on their face. Okay, this hand is now going to slide around the back of their head to grab the back of their neck. I'm going to grab an ear if I can, or if they have long hair like I do, then I'm going to grab a hold of as much hair as I can. And from here, my this is when I can put my trapped on to use, because my trapped on is going to go grabbing a handful of their shirt or whatever meat I can get on the side here. And from here, I have very good leverage to just roll them over like that, right? Okay. Now, some people say, well, that takes a lot of strength. That takes a lot of energy. You know what? It does. This is why. This is why I always say, when you can help it, don't go to the ground. Because when they tell you size doesn't matter, it's bullshit. Especially on the ground, it totally matters. Okay? Like, I can do that maybe to someone who's 200 pounds, 250 pounds. I have done it to 300-pound guy. But those are guys that don't really know what they're doing. If you try to do this, the secondary move, this plan B, and someone who really know what they're doing, or really good at recovering, or who's really strong, you won't be able to do it. Like, it's very hard. I'm not going to lie, plan B sucks, okay? But it's better than nothing, right? And also, once I roll him, then I can go on top and start pummeling from this angle, right? Now, if at any time, because this is never going to be cut and dry. This is never going to be perfect, right? If at any time during me moving, him moving, me trying to do this, and he trying to pull back, and me moving again, but sometimes you have to scramble around quite a few times like that, right? To finally get that perfect angle to work, right? Now, if at any time during this scrambling on the ground and the guy's trying to smoosh me and choke me or whatever, if at any time they make the mistake of going over my trapped hand, see how in the beginning my trapped hand is basically here by the side of their body. This is why I can't really hit them, right? I can maybe claw them, pinch them, poke my thumb into uh, their uh, the underside of their arm, the armpit, uh, or try to reach their face, but it's hard, right? But if during all this scrambling around, they make the mistake of losing track of this arm, and I can get this arm under them, then it's done. Okay? Once I get this arm under them, I'm going to get between the leg and rip off everything I can get a hold of. Alright? If I can get this hand under, this fight is over. I have one hand on their eyes or nose, the other hand between their legs and their groin. And from here, I don't even have to get up anymore. From here, I'm just going to throw a leg over their leg to keep them here, and I'm going to start ripping with both hands. Okay, my left hand is going to rip out everything between their leg. My right hand is going to rip out everything from their face. That is plan C. Okay, that one is hard to get because they have to make that mistake of moving the leg over your hand. But once you get that, the fight is over. Okay, so there you have it. That's the addendum episode to our ground fighting headlock from the front. Thank you for being here, and I'll be back again tomorrow. Whew, that's a lot more tiring than I thought. Where the hell is my camera?